It's a fabulous time to be a mom, don't you think? We have more freedoms than ever. We have more education, more influence, more opportunities. For years, it's been common knowledge that we're the driving force behind the economy. In the United States, mothers are responsible for 85% of the household income spending every year. Considering that, you'd think we'd be crushing it as entrepreneurs by now, right? After all, if success in business is all about finding needs and filling them, who better to find and fill our own needs than, well, us? But despite the fact that women own 40% of businesses in the US today, women-owned businesses amount to a mere 8% of US employment, 7% of venture funding, and only 4.3% of total revenue. Translation: we're starting plenty of businesses, but our businesses aren't doing nearly as well as they could be. What are we missing? Hard to say, really, but I have a theory. In 2017, a group of researchers surveyed 2,361 entrepreneurs, all making $1 million or more per year in revenue, asking them to choose from a list of 23 different traits, the ones they thought were the most powerful predictors of success in business. And while the results varied like crazy, there was one thing the vast majority seemed to agree on. The only trait that received a majority vote: vision. In other words, successful entrepreneurs agree that the #1 most powerful predictor of success in business is the ability to believe that something extraordinary is possible. And if the moms I've come across in my work as a consultant are any indication of the norm, it's not hard to see why we're still falling behind. Over the years, my team and I have surveyed thousands of entrepreneurs, most of whom are mothers. We've collected data on what motivates them, what discourages them, and what gets in their way. You want to know what we've found to be the most common thing that prevents these women from making the incredible contributions they're capable of making? It's not a lack of time, it's not a lack of resources, and it's not a lack of great ideas. It's the fact that, as far as we can tell, the average mom just doesn't believe she has what it takes to achieve anything all that great in business. As a marketing consultant, one of the questions I've been asking as part of my sales process for years is, with a killer marketing strategy, how much more do you see your business bringing in each month? Recently, when I reviewed the data, I was absolutely floored to find out that a whopping 74% of the women we surveyed believed that even with a stellar marketing strategy, the most they could realistically expect to be bringing in each month was maybe a few extra $100. Talk about a lack of vision. In our conversations with these women, we're hearing the same things over and over. They're afraid to trust themselves, afraid to promote their work, afraid to ask for the sale, afraid of failure, afraid they're not good enough, and desperate for us to give them some sort of a surefire formula for success so they can feel safe. Facing mind potatoes as gnarly as those, is it any wonder why so many of these women are still struggling quite a bit in the vision department? It's not hard to see what the problem is. But the question is, how do we solve it? For those of us who are mothers and entrepreneurs, how do we get better at believing in ourselves? And/or, how do we better support the entrepreneurial mothers in our lives as they set out to discover what they're really capable of? First, I'll speak to you if you are a mother and an entrepreneur. Don't assume that getting an MBA is the only way to acquire the skills necessary for big success in business. In fact, you've probably already acquired some of the skills it takes most entrepreneurs years of trial and error to learn within the walls of your own home. If you want to make great things happen, all you have to do is remember and put to use the things you already know. Things like, be flexible. You might have a crystal clear picture of what you want your business to look like when it grows up. And there's nothing wrong with trying to shape it that way, but keep an open mind. Just like a child, your business will probably look nothing like you first imagined, but a whole lot better once it matures. Let your business develop on its own time and in its own way. And remember that ideas, just like children, don't really come from us, they come through us. So if things aren't unfolding quite the way you expected, don't take it as a sign that you're no good. Just learn what you can and don't cling to the plan. As a parent and as an entrepreneur, you'll be much happier if you adopt the philosophy that your idea and/or your child has a life of its own, and you're just there to support it the best way you know how. Next, enjoy the journey. Don't get so obsessed with results that you forget to appreciate each stage as it unfolds. Remember that mistakes and setbacks are just a normal, natural part of growing up, and there's certainly nothing to be ashamed of. Next, play to your strengths. Just like we foster the unique personalities, characteristics, and talents our children have, you've got to allow yourself to be who you are. When my client Gina decided to give up on her online course business to do what she really loves, making craft videos, she soared to the #1 spot in her network marketing company in a mere matter of months, and is now making way more money than she would have been had she just continued to do what she thought she was supposed to do to make money. Remember, there are tons of roads that can lead to success, so give yourself permission to travel down the one that feels the best to you. Next, don't wait until you feel ready. Business, just like parenting, is near impossible to prepare for. Just when you think you know what you're doing, things will change and you'll need to learn a whole new set of skills. So, in a sense, you're never really ready. You've just got to move forward, do the best you can, and trust that you'll be able to figure things out one step at a time. When my client Cindy decided to turn her passion for real estate into a charitable foundation, she had no idea how she was going to do it. But as she moved forward with faith, people and opportunities and resources just magically started to show up to support her. And before she knew it, she had rehabbed and subsidized a home for an incredibly deserving family, attracted all sorts of media attention, and was even named the woman to watch by her city's Chamber of Commerce. And finally, when all else fails, leverage compassion. In today's complex social media marketing landscape, it's really, really easy to get overwhelmed or to feel inadequate if you can't be in all the places and do all the things. When that happens, shift your sights from the top of the mountain to the place where you are right now and ask, who's right in front of me? What do they need? How can I help? Putting yourself in your prospect's shoes isn't just a great way to keep the proper perspective. It's also the best marketing tip I know. Remember, you don't have to have all the answers before you start. Just show up, serve, let it be fun, and make up the rules as you go. Now, I'll speak to the rest of you. Here are a few things we can all do to better support the entrepreneurial mothers in our lives. First, give her time. There's no reason why women should spend an average of 2 hours more per day on household work than dads do in families where both spouses work. But according to a recent study by the OECD, that's what's happening in the majority of American households. You can easily support the mom you love most by easing the burden of her personal responsibilities. After all, it's hard to hold a powerful vision when all your extra time keeps getting swallowed up by the ins and outs of homemaking. Your support can be as simple as taking turns doing the laundry, volunteering for dish duty, or just encouraging her to hire a cleaning service or a personal assistant. Next, help her fail forward. So many of the women we speak with have a very binary concept of what success and failure mean. Somewhere along the way, we've picked up this belief that you're either built for greatness or you aren't. And if you give it a try and don't succeed on the first shot, you must not have what it takes. When our confidence is waning, we need friends like you to help us remember that it's perfectly natural and normal to strike out a few times, or even a lot of times, before you hit a home run, and that there doesn't need to be any sort of expiration date on a woman's right to dream. And finally, take her seriously. Take an interest in what she's working on. Ask her questions. Be a good brainstorming buddy. Always be looking for reasons to believe in and to tell her that you believe in her. Understand that depending on the circumstances, the interest you take in her vision might be the only validation she gets. And validation is something a budding vision very much needs. And just in case you're one of those listening who needs that kind of validation right now, I'll close by speaking to you. Moms, we need your vision. We need your resourcefulness. We need your compassion. The work you do at home is spectacular. It's more than enough. But if you feel called to do work in the world beyond the walls of your own home, then do that work. And whatever you do, don't diminish the size of your dreams for the people who love you the most. Because the #1 thing that stands between you and the phenomenal impact you're capable of making isn't a lack of support. It's not a lack of money, time, talent, or opportunity. The biggest thing in your way is your own ability to believe. Thank you.